Hey, Tony Frisco. What you doing, man?
Just enjoying my Christmas. How about you, buddy?
I'm doing the same. I'm enjoying a substantial time off. And I don't know about you, but I've had some good time off, and it's allowed me to do what we do best, which is stream a bunch of nonsense on the TV because that's what we do in COVID holiday season.
I haven't done this at all this year. It's so new to me. So exciting.
Having time off.
No, streaming.
Oh, yeah. It's something that I never dreamed that I would do, but here we are. Yeah, it's kind of like the state of our world right now. Is basically like, hey, did you watch XYZ thing? Well, of course I did, because there's literally nothing else for me to do.
Exactly. And the weird thing is this movie kind of hints on all of the COVID world.
You're exactly
With
right. It really does. I actually wrote that down in my notes that is this the movie of our time because of just the overall basis of it. So with that, why don't you do us a favor and introduce the movie that we're going to be discussing today?
yes. So we will be talking about Palm Spring,
Mhm.
made by uh, I feel like underrated. I feel like people talk about them all the time, but they are still underrated. The Lonely Island. They can
I
do
would
no
agree.
wrong.
I would agree. I think that like they had like their huge moment of shine back when we were probably in college, maybe even high school. And then it kind of like slowly faded into like a state of comfort and just like knowing that like, yeah, these guys are good. But it wasn't like the huge mega explosion that they had when I'm on a Boat came out.
No. Yeah, that was high school. Wow.
Yeah, it
That's
has to
crazy.
be a quick number crunch on my end. But yeah, it has that album had to have been around high school time for sure.
Yeah, I think it was. But even like aside from the SNL and the digital shorts and the albums, they have not made a bad movie, in my opinion.
I don't think so. I don't think so either. I mean, I know that you're a huge fan of Popstar. I don't
I
think
think
I've ever seen Popstar.
oh, well, that's
No,
got to be watched on this.
no, I
It
know.
is this might be a wild claim, but I think it's a top 2 like comedy for me.
That's a great criteria that you set. I don't think anybody ever says that's a top two movie for me.
I was trying to think of if there was because my favorite comedy is Dumb and Dumber.
Fair.
Um
It's a good choice.
and and I was like, is there something in between Dumb and Dumber and Popstar? And honestly, no. Popstar's number 1 or Popstar's number 2.
Would you say it's a 1-2 or is it like a 1A 1B?
I think it actually might be a 1A 1B.
Yeah, it's like you can kind of interchange them on any given day, and you'd be like, that's a fair assessment of their worth.
I consider Dumb and Dumber like the childhood comedy,
Hmm.
and Popstar is like the adult comedy.
That's, you know what? It's funny that you say that though too, because it's like if you really
The,
like look at the comedy that's in each of them, neither of them is adult comedy.
it is definitely the 10-year-old inside of me.
Right. I mean, I'll give you like at least 14. Like, I mean, it's a
Yeah,
high school aged comedy and
Dumb and Dumber is more 10. I would say Popstar is like 15.
right, right. But I mean, I guess maybe like Dumb and Dumber was maybe like 15 for its time. You know, we've
Yeah,
evolved. We get smarter. You know, you can't just throw out some silly poop jokes to us anymore. You know, we've evolved a little bit.
yes. It's
Um,
go. Sorry, go on.
no, go for it.
I was just gonna say, but that is one thing that we can talk about when there's actually a PG-13 movie to talk about. But the art of the PG-13 movie is dead.
Yeah,
Like, it's
nobody
so
really does
unfortunate.
anymore.
It's so unfortunate because it's like I'm trying to think of what the last great is School of Rock.
Oh, that is a really good one. That actually is School of Rock PG-13, or is it
Yeah.
straight up PG?
Oh, I think it's
No,
13.
it's got to be PG-13. They talk about booze and stuff. Yeah, okay, yeah, PG-13 for sure.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we can talk about this another time, but I've said it multiple times. That is the last great PG-13 movie.
School of Rock came out at a perfect time for me personally, and I think a lot of people probably my age group, because it was in junior high. And I feel like junior high is when you first get introduced to other music that's like not pop music. And so like for me, it was like finding out that Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath and Pink Floyd and classic rock bands existed. And then when School of Rock came out, it was like, oh, perfect segue into literally all of those bands being in this movie. And you're like, oh, wow, yeah, this is the cool stuff. And then you get older and you're like, well, it's just what my dad thinks is cool. But it was still good.
Oh, it's an all-time movie. I gotta watch that again. It's been a while.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah, to circle all the way back off of that tangent, classic us. To circle all the way back from that tangent, yes, Palm Springs, produced by the Lonely Island guys, directed by Max Barbacow, I hope I'm saying that right, which is actually like his first feature film. So good on you, Max, for a good first debut effort.
It's batting 1,000.
And then I think that it wasn't even like written by these guys either. It was written by somebody named Andy Sierra. I'm not really sure what it is. But he apparently has worked with the director, the Barbacoa guy, before as well. But definitely still has the Lonely Island production credits and everything too. That gives it that little flair. So the movie's starring Andy Samberg as Niles, and then Cristin Milioti. I'm gonna hopefully assume that that's right. You're like the Italian background, so I'm leaning for that.
I have no idea how to say it, but that sounds right to me. I nodded.
Cristin Milioti as Sarah, and then J.K. Simmons as Roy. So I guess just to like set the stage, if you haven't seen it, we'll just really brief plot synopsis summary. So it's basically about our main character, Andy Samberg, aka Niles. He is trapped in a repetitive loophole, which causes him to live the same day over and over again. If you're thinking Groundhog Day, of course you are, because it is Groundhog Day. And then he inadvertently pulls Cristin Milioti into this same repetitive day cycle. And it is on the day of her sister's wedding. And the hilarity obviously ensues from there, which I guess that might be like a first good place to start, is when I say hilarity, I guess I don't even really know if I would describe this movie as a hilarious type of comedy. I don't think it is, but that's not a knock on it either.
No, no, it's not, but it's kind of dark, but it's also, I mean, there are some really like funny scenes in it.
I would almost call it like a beige comedy, although beige isn't like the right word. Now, you know how like people say like dark comedy? It's like a dim comedy. It's not quite into like Fargo is like what people consider a dark comedy. And it's dark because, well, they murder a bunch of people in it. Spoiler alert for that movie if you haven't seen it. They murder a bunch of people. There's not really like a ton of murdering going on, malicious intent in Palm Springs, but yeah, you know, it is like a little bit of a more melancholic mood, I guess I would say at times.
There's some death in it.
There is some death in it. Spoiler alert again. There's definitely some death in it, but not quite maliciously, you know?
True.
But yeah, like tell me your thoughts on just like that in general, just like the overall tone of it. How did you kind of like interpret a lot of that?
Well, I just like the vibe of the movie. I like how he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt. I like how he's like drinking a beer in almost every scene.
Almost every scene.
It's you feel like you're on vacation in it, because like he's always in a pool. He's either at a pool or at a bar. I just felt like I was on vacation in it, which I loved. And like, but you also like feel miserable because he's miserable they're miserable because they're just doing the same thing every day. But I
was just gonna say, it almost makes me wonder if that's the way that people feel about Palm Springs. Palm Springs strikes me as like a very interesting vacation locale in and of itself. You're in the desert, so obviously, I mean, it's nicer weather, but you're just like at this resort, And can like you really do anything though? Like you just said you're just there, aren't you? I've never been.
I,
So I guess I wouldn't know.
I've never been either, and actually, it's kind of showing me that it's a sign that once COVID's over, I need to go there because I think this movie. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it came out like right at the beginning of the
It came,
pandemic.
it came out in July, so at this
Oh
point,
shoot!
a little bit like we were only what 4 months into it at that
Oh,
point.
I thought it was way earlier, but regardless,
It seems
um,
that way now because time is irrelevant.
yeah, just like in the movie.
Exactly. See, look at all these connections we're already making.
Fantastic. Um, I think, yeah, when that first came out, I was like, you know what, I'd like to. I'm liking the vibe of this movie. I feel like I'd like to go there. And then I don't know if you watched The Bachelorette. This season was set in Palm Springs, so I was like,
Damn right.
it's a sign. I think I gotta go.
Keisha had all the dudes out there in Palm Springs. And I don't know, I mean, if we don't want to get too deep into the Bachelorette talk here, but every time that they were on a date, they were sweating profusely. Every single dude was sweating through his shirt. It was awkward.
Oh, and I'm a big sweater too, so
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I
Well,
can go.
I would assume though that if you go to Palm Springs, it's probably a little bit different than the Bachelorette setup because the Bachelorette setup is like they were always fully like always had pants on, always had long sleeve shirts on. It's like you're in the desert.
And like sweaters and stuff.
Yeah. All black clothing. It's like, well, yeah, I would assume that you're probably going to sweat while you're wearing these items. I think that you're safer if you go the Andy Samberg route with the Hawaiian shirt and
And the shorts, yeah.
I think that you'll be okay sweat wise in that regard.
But yeah, I mean it's a sign. I think maybe we do a trip.
I think, well, I've looked at it. And so Coachella is obviously Indigo, California. But either way, when a lot of people go to Coachella, they stay at Palm Springs. So I've looked into Palm Springs before as like a possible destination. Like if I ever wanted to go to Coachella and put like a flower crown in my hair and, live it up. But it seems like a very interesting place just to go on its own. And it seems like and obviously they had to have scouted this out, perfect type of a setting for this movie. Because I'm sure that when you live in Palm Springs, like weather wise, you have to feel like you're probably in the same day all the time. Probably doesn't rain ever. It's always going to be sunny. It's always going to be like 80, 90 degrees, probably 100 degrees or something like that. It's always hot. It's just like if you were to live there, every day you wake up and you're like, this is the exact same day as the day before. It's not like the Midwest where we get a little bit of everything scattered throughout the year.
Yeah, no. I mean, you're right, it is the perfect setting for it. And then like on top of it, it's perfect with like the whole like drug element of this movie.
Oh,
like
yeah, for sure.
the dinosaurs I feel like would never have worked in like a Midwest setting or something. It like the desert just fits this movie perfectly.
Well, yeah, there's the part that's in the middle of the movie that you're referencing where they like see dinosaurs and they're tripping on mushrooms and they're kind of like debating on whether or not these dinosaurs that they're seeing are real or not, which I think is like just interesting part of the story as a whole. How do you feel about like movies like this and then movies like an Avengers Endgame with like the multiple timelines and how like those timelines interweave and how all this stuff happens? Because when I saw that part of the movie, that's like immediately what I thought of was like, okay, are we in like a weird timeline loop here where somehow elements of this timeline have now come to this modern time and we've got dinosaurs that live among people and stuff? How do you feel about those types of movies in general? Because I have some feelings and I'm wondering if you share them.
I would say I enjoy movies like that, but they definitely do hurt my brain.
They hurt my brain so much.
But have you seen Tenet yet?
I have not, but I would assume that it's incredibly similar, Inception, basically anything that Christopher Nolan's ever made.
Yep. We can talk about this because maybe we'll review it someday, but
oh yeah,
I loved it. I love movies like that. Like I'm all about movies where I have to watch a YouTube video to explain it to me.
Oh
Like
yeah, for sure.
those are I'm all in on those. Did see it with my dad though, and he said it was the worst movie he's ever seen. So
It
take it or leave it. I feel like this
doesn't seem like
isn't
something to be up his alley.
no,
From what
but
I know about your dad.
I do enjoy these types of movies. How about you? How do you feel about it?
So, I mean, like this one in particular is like a light version of it because really, in terms of like altering timelines, we really only get like two instances of that really happening in this movie. At least in my small pea brain, we only get two instances of it. One is with the dinosaurs, which occurs in the middle of the movie, and then spoiler alert at the end of the movie. And then if you stick around long enough, which you don't have to, you stick around long enough in the credits for the J.K. Simmons character, Roy, and like his part where now that Niles and Sarah have gotten out of the loop, like he goes up to Niles and he's like, hey, your crazy girlfriend or whatever left me that message about how to get out of this. And then like Andy Samberg's character is like, I don't know who you are. And you realize that like, oh my God, they got out. Like that's really the only two parts of this movie that deal with like an alternate timeline and like what happens when like those things intersect. But like Endgame kind of pissed me off like when I saw it for the Avengers because I was like, oh my God, like I can't keep up with all this. Like there's gonna be so many different universes and I'm not gonna be able to keep them straight. And which is funny because I love comic book movies and like when I was younger, I even really loved comic books. But that type of a story has always kind of pissed me off because I'm just like, I can't do this with you.
See, I don't know. Something about it I love Endgame. Like even like It's a Wonderful Life. That's a
Oh yeah,
like a
wow, we're just on
different
all
universe
kinds
if
of
you think about it. That
comparisons.
might be the original.
It might be if we can find something early.
Actually,
I'd
the
be
Christmas Carol is.
oh no! Oh my God, is that like the OG? The OG alternate timeline?
There has to be some like Greek mythology.
Yeah, I'll look it up and I'll see if I can find it while you're talking here.
Well, yeah. um, but I just thought of that. That's crazy.
The Christmas Carol. It all comes back to Christmas these days.
It really does. This is a Christmas movie if you really think about it.
Oh yeah.
Um, no, but yeah, I mean, I like. It's definitely a lot easier this movie than Endgame, but I like the fact that we don't really even know what like are they out of it? Like, I mean, you would
Yeah.
assume they get out of it, but like, why are there dinosaurs? Like,
The dinosaurs thing throws me for a loop, and I feel like that's like it is a part of this movie that I do enjoy. And I was thinking about this as I was watching it. This is one of those types of movies where there's just enough like elements of seriousness and like just enough elements of like it's a movie that has something to say and it has an idea behind it that it like wants to communicate, but it's not heavy handed in like any way and like trying to just bludgeon you with it. Those are like the sweet spot movies for me like as I get older. I don't want something that like makes me feel like I just ran a marathon after I watched it and just like a mental anguish of like, oh my gosh, like so much to unpack here. I like this where it's like it's a nice breezy movie that if I don't want to think too in depth about it, great, I can watch it and I can have a good time. But it also has just enough nuggets in it to where I'm like, huh, what the hell was going on with that? And like
yeah,
the dinosaurs are the prime example of that.
and I love uh, Groundhog Day, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that this is I think this is a nice part. The thing that I liked about this more than Groundhog Day is it explains a little bit of like there's something going on where we're repeating the same day. We don't know like what it is, but they try to figure it out. Whereas like Groundhog Day just kind of like resolves itself, if I remember correctly, right?
It does, and like it's funny though because the way in which um, Sarah, the female lead in this, like when she first gets introduced into the loop, she talks about like, oh, like all I have to do is do something selfless, and that's kind of like what Groundhog Day ends up being. It's like, okay, like this guy's a dick. He needs to get out of this, and how do we get him to get out of it? Okay, he becomes a better person, and because he becomes a better person, he gets out of it. So I like that it's almost like a very subtle wink to Groundhog Day, and that like, oh yeah, this is the way that like they got out of it, but it's not gonna work here. I like that it was like a subtle wink to that, and almost in like a weird, interesting way, it was a very spiritual sequel to Groundhog Day.
Yeah, it really was. And I do like I mean, it was a big part of Andy Samberg's character. I'm horrible with character
Oh,
names.
Niles. Yeah.
Niles.
The only reason that I remember that is because I have the IMDb pulled up in front of me.
So that's one thing that I like. I think I liked a lot about his character is like, even though he was, and I actually read somewhere online that like the creators said that I don't know if you were gonna mention this, but they said that they think he's been in there for like in the loop for like I want to say like 40 or 50 years or something.
Okay, that I wasn't gonna necessarily bring it up because I knew, but I was going to ask you that question, which I guess has now been answered. Of how long do you think he's been in this loop?
I think they said it's longer, like a lot longer than you think. So it's not like a year; it's way longer than that.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's like one thing that I really took away from it that I thought was cool was, even though he's been stuck in this loop forever, and he's like, he does everything, like does crazy drugs, like
Crystal meth.
kills himself multiple times, like
Yes.
all this stuff. Like his one thing is he's like, I still try to be a good person, like in this loop, no matter what. Like, and like he said, like, which I think has a lot to do with like what's going on in the world. Like they wrote a movie about what's going on in the world without even know that they were making it.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, but it's just like, yeah, you're doing the same thing and you seem like it's useless, but like as long as you're trying your best to be a good person, that's really all that matters.
Well, and it's like, it's funny that you bring that up because this is kind of like tying back a little bit to what I had said earlier, which is that it kind of like tries to throw out some nuggets of wisdom as opposed to, strong arming it. And that's kind of like one of those little nuggets is like, I think that a lot of people, so and obviously this is a completely hypothetical thing to think about, but if you're living in a life of no consequence, like how would you be as a person? And they often say that like a lot of like human morality is made up of the idea of like religion and like, oh, okay, like, well, one day if I want like a good afterlife, I need to behave a certain way, like right now. But like, what if we knew for certain that there wasn't anything after and that it was just like you have this life that you have and like that's it? We know that definitively. How would people act? And I think that it's nice that the movie kind of like tips towards like, listen, even like deep down in like the darkest recesses of like humanity, eventually that shit gets old. And like, you don't want to be a total scumbag for your entire life. Even if there are no consequences to your actions, like it's still not going to feel good at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. That was like one thing I really liked about this movie. That makes it a lot deeper than Groundhog Day, at least.
Well, and I mean, like, not to like take it too far or to step too far, but like you said, this is like a perfect COVID movie. Like we live in this type of like an alternate reality that we never thought we'd have to live in, where every day is like taking on a more repetitive sense of just like, this is never going to end. Like we're always going to be like this. It's interesting to like think like, obviously like we have a vaccine coming out and eventually hopefully like we'll be back to normal, but like what if we never did? And like what if this was just like a continuous cycle of stuff? We've seen like just terrible, ugly crap happen as a result of this. And it's interesting to think of like, would that continue or would we eventually be like, listen, Like, we gotta like stop being so vile. This is like sucks. We gotta figure it out here.
I mean, it's crazy. This is like the deepest movie of the year, and they didn't even know it.
And I don't even think it set out to be. It was a rom-com.
uh, it is great though. God, it made me want this movie. Made me want beer so much.
Oh man. So I mean, the amount of booze that he has to. Well, that's also though. Think about that. Knowing that like you just can consume any food or any drink and never gain any weight. That in and of itself is a pretty peachy keen situation.
Oh,
So I guess if we're looking on the brighter side of being stuck in the same day over and over and over, that's got to be one of the positives.
I mean, he's literally living the dream. He's wakes up, goes to that pool,
Mm-hmm.
then he drives to the
beers.
yeah, and then he drives to the bar, drinks some more, and then eats a burrito, and then goes back to a wedding. Like,
yeah.
what if? I mean, he could be in a way worse situation to be stuck like for 40 years in the same day.
Oh, absolutely. The only thing that really like is a hindrance is the Roy character showing up and unmercilessly killing him or torturing him.
I mean, that was one of the best aspects of the movie, that he like his day that he was repeating Roy is he just was with his family and then leaves for the wedding. I just love that he like just decides, I'm gonna sit at home, enjoy time with my family, and then like once a month he decides to go kill him. That is such a funny aspect of the movie.
J.K. Simmons is he's like a my guy kind of dude for me. I love J.K. Simmons so much. I love everything that he's in, even like stuff that he takes on where it's like, well, J.K. needed a paycheck, so that's why he's in this movie. I still love him for it. Couldn't ever have him.
The Farmers Insurance commercials, do you mean?
Oh, those are great. I love those commercials. I think he kills it. Every time I see him, I'm like, you know what? I should really get involved with farmers.
Get me those pictures of Spider-Man.
The J. Jonah Jameson. I mean, he's in Juno as a lovable dad.
I've actually never seen Juno.
You never seen Juno before?
No.
That's interesting because I feel like that was like apex of like Tweed high school years for us.
I don't. What year did that come out? I feel like I was
2007. And again, I did not know that off the top of my head. I just have J.K. Simmons IMDb.
Oh, then I was 2007. What month? What month?
No. Well,
let me know.
He has it. Oh, it was Christmas of 2007. Probably
okay,
because it was plundering for the awards for sure. So
I was a freshman in high school, so yeah, it didn't really seem like the kind of vibe I was looking for in freshman year of high school.
You weren't listening to indie soundtracks when you were a freshman in high school?
I actually wasn't. What was I listening to?
Not many of us were, so it's okay. I don't blame you on that regard at all.
I mean, I do now, but wasn't at the time.
So I got that going for me now. Oh, man.
I probably would love it now.
The writer from Juno is now developing a new Powerpuff Girls show. So.
Oh, shit.
So we got
the one that's currently out?
It says that it's been announced.
There's another.
This is actually weird. It's the breakdown is 3 disillusioned women in their 20s with superpowers who used to fight crime together and now resent having lost their childhood to that, are faced with the choice of reuniting now that the world needs them more than ever. So it's like a 20 years into the future.
I'm here for it.
Okay.
I love Powerpuff Girls, by the way.
All the way back. Here we go. All the way back again. But yeah, J.K. Simmons, he's my guy. I love him. J.K., if you're listening, you're my boy. So we've got the alternative timelines we've talked about. How about the like big reveal of the movie, which is that the reason that Sarah is so depressed about like living this particular day over and over again is that, spoiler alert, duck out now if you don't know, is that she sleeps with her sister's fiance the night before the wedding. And this is like one of those movies where like you get like a nice little mini twist like that in the middle, And then when you go back and you watch it a second time, it's like, my God, it was hidden in plain sight the whole time. I don't know if you noticed that watching it back this time.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is such a great but like simple twist.
Yeah,
And
effective. It's an
yes,
effective and efficient twist.
simple. I mean, simple is in like within the storyline. It's not like,
Absolutely. It's
I
not
don't know
pulling like a rabbit out of thin air, you know?
exactly. Um, but yeah, that guy, that husband, I guess, is such a dick, and
Oh, yeah.
it's crazy how it ends. She just like when she finally goes to the next day, like she just tells him like, "Don't fuck this up," and like
Yeah.
doesn't make a big deal. Like you don't know, like does she tell them ever, or is it ever brought up? You never know.
Well, I think like again, that's kind of like an interesting statement in and of itself because again, like to get on the deeper side of the movie, if you think about it, she's had this opportunity over and over and over and over again to basically quote unquote do the right thing or to like live with some sort of humility or selflessness. And it's interesting that like the one time that she tries to do the selfless thing in order to get out of the time loop is she tells her sister like exactly what happens and nothing good comes of that. At least selfishly for her, nothing good comes of that. And it's interesting to me that what are they maybe trying to say about just like that whole situation in general, that like at the very end she chooses not to say anything and not to break up this type of like a, you know, what could be as like a jaded marriage and just like lets it play out. What are they trying to say there? You know, are they trying to say that like maybe even though you know something's bad, you just gotta let it run its course and like figure it out from there? I don't know. It's an interesting thought though.
Yeah, I mean, it's really funny how this rom com is so deep
So
at so many
so
levels,
deep.
and
uh,
especially for a Lonely Island movie.
yeah, exactly. I will say I do feel like uh, this is probably like as close. I guess I'd have to look at his credentials, but I was going to say this is as close as Andy Samberg has probably come to like one of these types of movies where there is like a profoundness to it in some way that's above just like a surface level. You know, like I don't know, it's hard to describe, but as I'm like looking through most of his stuff, it's all stuff that you would expect that he would be in, you know, very like surface level comedy stuff.
Yes, he and I don't know what made me think of this, but he goes from this to like, have you ever seen 8 Day or is it 8 Days in Hell?
Oh, the one
The
that
tennis.
spoof the tennis movie, yeah,
Yes,
or they do
like
like the Tour de France one. Have you seen that one too? I'm
yeah, I
assuming.
have seen that one.
Yes, both of them
He
are great.
like his range is incredible. Like the guy can do no wrong.
Yeah, it's he has done a really good job. And actually, Sarah and I have just started watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and I have to say, incredibly enjoyable like sitcom based show.
I got to start watching that.
It is really good, and it's amazing to me. Like, I think he's the perfect guy for a show like that because he can do something that's a little bit more tame in like some sense. Like he can do a network show like that and still have genuinely funny moments like throughout the show where you're like,
Hmm.
okay, that's like something I would legitimately laugh at. You get a
Yeah.
lot of those sitcoms and you can just tell that they're like playing it so close to the vest that they don't want to get canceled for saying the wrong thing. And it's like, it kind of the comedy lacks as a result of it. But not that show. That show's really good.
I got to jump on it.
Andy Samberg, great guy. Seems like a great guy to have a random drink or two with.
Yeah. I mean, has a lot in that movie.
And we know that he can obviously handle them. So what do you think about like the actual end of the movie then? Because to me, it's interesting that they tried to go with the like this is like a practical approach route, as opposed to like we discussed earlier, the Groundhog Day route, which is like just believe in yourself and be a good person, and this will all end.
Yeah. Um, I I liked that. It made it seem real. Like the fact that she was working for. I mean, we don't know how many days, but she was like
How many days do you think she spent Because that's a main question I have. If you were just like, if she's like straight up just devoting every single hour of this repetitive day to learning about quantum physics, how long do you think it took her to like figure this out?
I think that was at least a year.
I see. I was like wondering, is it even maybe even multiple years that you have to just like sit there and just study and study and study? And then well, what do they say though? They say 10,000 hours, right? Isn't that the Malcolm Gladwell approach? Like if you like 10,000 hours means that you're a master of something. Have you heard about that?
No.
It's like a theory. Oh God, when you search 10,000 hours, you get Dan and Shay and Justin Bieber, which is a terrible song. I don't know. No, terrible song. I hate that song so much. Yeah. So
just throw it in the episode.
Anywho, fine, we will.
Do you love the rain? Does it make you dance when you're drunk with your friends at a party? What's your favorite song? Does it make you smile? Do you think of me? When you close your eyes, tell me, what are you dreaming? Everything I wanna know it all. I'd spend 10,000 hours and 10,000 more. Oh, if that's what it takes to learn that sweetheart of yours. And I might never get there, but I'm gonna try. If it's 10,000 hours or the rest of my life, I'm gonna love you.
That song so much. It's a theory by Malcolm Gladwell, who's like a famous author, and he basically said that like 10,000 hours, if you devote 10,000 hours to something, you'll be a master at it. So it's like people have always used that as like a benchmark. So how many days?
I just did the math. It looks like it's 416.666667. So
Okay. So
it's a little over a year.
But that's like devoting like 24 hours a day. So I'm assuming that like maybe like 2 to 3 years she had to have been studying.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good amount of
And he makes it seem like he hasn't seen her in a long time.
Yeah, that type of like devotion to your craft. Kudos to her.
Yeah. How about how she had to she avoided him for that long? If you really think about it, that's wild. Because she woke up and then just get out of the resort.
Got to get off the grid. Well, especially because he eventually figures out exactly where she is or where she would have been. He figures out that she was sleeping with the fiance. So he would know to go to that room at some point, and she was out of the door, cracking quantum physics codes it was nobody's business.
It's crazy.
Kudos to her. I mean, she's the real MVP of this movie, if we think about it.
Yeah. I would just be screw it. I would take the Andy Samberg approach. I'm not learning this.
I did think about that. At what point would I have a mental breakdown to the point where I'd say I need to learn about wormholes because I can't do this anymore? It's I don't know. I mean, if you could live, it's one thing to live where you just don't age ever, but you can go anywhere, do anything. But to just wake up in a Palm Springs resort for 40 years, that's tough living. There's only so much you can do. There's only so much that can be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, I don't know. Part of me wouldn't, I don't know.
See, it's tough. It's tough because you have that initial thought where you're I don't know, I could live that life. And then you think about day number, 3042. And it's God, what am I doing on day 3042? It's that's rough stuff,
I'm just thinking though, my hope is that it would either be I would just hope it was a Saturday in the fall.
Oh, okay. So but then I'd see where your mind's going. Your mind's going to college football.
Yeah, but not only that, like there's other thing. Like I feel like you get the element of, even if you didn't watch college football, like I'm just thinking of all, like, I know you'd be stuck in it forever, so you would like run out of things. But
Well, and this is November 9th that this day keeps taking place at. So it is fall. You got that going for you.
yeah, the only thing I was gonna say is it would be nice to have baseball too, because like you could be like, you know what,
Yeah.
there's a World Series game and money doesn't matter. You know what I do?
You're gambling. I know where you're
I would gamble and I'd have all this money, and then I would just like, that's how I would start every day. I'd be like, all right, I just need to get this money, so I'm just gonna put in this bet, you know, it's gonna win, and then I have all this money, and then like from there.
Here's an interesting thought to go along with that, though. So now we're talking the multiverse, you know, and so we know that they make it out of the single day at the end. I think that we can pretty safely say that, you know, like the end of the movie hints enough that they make it out. But when J.K. Simmons then goes to the wedding, you know, like post credits, and he sees Andy Samberg's character and he doesn't remember him, that now opens up the two different universes, right? Like our parallel universes. So to me, one thing that you could do that would make you feel a little good inside is you could make those bets, win big, and then you could just donate money to like wherever. And you just know that in some multiverse, like that money is going to good use. They like briefly bring this up when he buys a candy bar for the $100, and he's like, oh, whatever. Like he tells a kid, spend it today. But that doesn't make sense because the multiverses keep going. You're just the one that's left behind. So like that kid is going to like wake up the next day with his $100 and he's going to go do something
In his universe. Oh, damn.
You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
So like that's at least one way that I would think you could feel good about yourself. You could just win big on, you know, the World Series Game 7 that you bet on. And then you could just be like, all right, I'm just going to keep pumping out millions of dollars like all over the globe here.
Oh, damn. That's awesome.
Big brain.
You know what? They didn't think that much into it.
I don't
And,
think
like,
that any movie like this ever does. You can't account for like everything in these types of movies. That's my main gripe with them. Once you
yeah,
open up multiple universes, I mean, it gets messy and it's hard to keep up with everything.
it does.
It is crazy.
Wow. Is that what you would do? Were you thinking that? Like,
I mean, I don't know. I would like to think that maybe I would. Maybe like the ego part of me would say like, that's like a good way of spending it. Or maybe what you could do is like, you could donate that money to like some sort of like wormhole research and development. And then maybe one day like somebody would come back and grab you out of it. So maybe like in a weird way, you'd be investing in your own future and just trying to get the out of there, you know? Or you could do what Sarah, our female protagonist, does and, you know, just bucks up and finally learns enough to get the hell out of there. And good on her for doing that because that's a lot of work.
wait. I think I figured out this ending then, because I didn't even think about all the different universes. I think that they got out of the loop, but they're not in the one that they started in.
Yeah, that could very well. Yes, I would agree with that. Yeah, because they definitely get out of it, like using J.K. Simmons, you know, part of
Yeah.
it. But just the way multiverses work, there's always going to be like a multiverse where they're. Well, I guess like there's not maybe a multiverse where they're still in the loop, but there's all these other multiverses that have sprouted out from all of those days that they have lived. So there's like thousands upon thousands of universes that like have directly been affected by like what they did in that one day.
And every universe is like, oh God, my brain hurts.
I know, man. We got so deep on this, dude. And we're not even on like any edibles or anything. That's why this is so hard. If we were on
because
drugs,
they're yeah, damn.
yeah, if we were on
like
drugs right now, oh man, we'd have this whole thing mapped out and figured out in no time.
I mean, Wow. 2020.
2020, man. That's really all you can say. Other than that, we're kind of coming up on time here. Do you have anything else that you wanted to say about the flick?
As I said before, love the vibe.
Great vibe.
Highly recommend. Honestly, miss going to bars.
Yeah,
Every time they're in a bar, I was like, oh, I miss that.
Yeah, I actually said that at one point. I was like, bars, what are those? Never heard of them. It's a great movie, though. Like, I mean, you got elements of rom-com. You've got, wormhole theories for you nerds out there that enjoy that kind of thing. And I say nerds with all the endearment in the world towards you. There's like a bit of fantasy involved. It's got a little bit of everything, So, I mean, I think it hits so many different categories that you'd be foolish not to see it and not to enjoy it. And I love it. It's a brief 1 hour and 30 minutes. It gets out.
We both watched it.
Right before this podcast.
Yes, we woke up. It's 10:50 in the morning, and I woke up at 7:45 and had it on while I was taking a shower. It was great.
We've been able to watch this movie and then record an entire podcast about this movie all within one morning. So I just tell you about what you're in for. It's good.
And we're just in time for football too. This is perfect.
It's a nice poem of a movie. Let's just put it that way. And that'll be a nice little bow on top of this podcast. Okay, so now for next week's episode, we were talking about this, and we've had some heavy hitters that came out on streaming over the Christmas vacation. Two of those being the new Pixar movie, Soul, and then the latest from DC Comics, Wonder Woman 1984. We both have interest in seeing these two movies, and we thought, you know what? Let's just dive in. Let's get into some of these heavy hitters and see what they're about. So, do you want to break down, Mr. Frisco, how we are going to be picking which one we're going to be doing for next week?
Yes. So, are you familiar with the game Fall Guys?
I am. I really want to start getting into Fall Guys. I feel like I'm only about 6 months too late.
That's fine. I think we're on the same level of gamer.
Mm-hmm.
So you're probably even a bigger gamer than I am. I wouldn't even consider you a gamer.
Highly doubt that, to be honest. I picked up a remote in at least 7 months.
Well, I think, this is a side note, but I think you should get back into it and we can start playing together because you have PS4, right?
Perfect. I do. Yeah.
All right. Well,
I can't afford a PS5.
Yeah, same. Maybe we'll have a Fall Guys episode at some point where we play and talk about it.
Hell yeah. I'd love that.
We'll record while we're playing. But anyways, Fall Guys, it's a stupid little, like, I can't even really describe it, like maze game, like a maze race. And we're going to decide, you can pick, I'm just going to pick a random channel on Twitch and we're going to watch someone and we're going to watch them play one round. Mm-hmm. If they make it to the next round, one movie gets chosen. If they don't make it to the next round, another movie gets chosen. So,
perfect.
Do you want to choose which movie will be for what?
Let's do Wonder Woman if he makes it, Soul if he does not make it.
Okay. I'm literally just gonna pick someone random. This guy seems to be from India. So perfect. We will start with him. He's in the middle of a round right now, so we'll wait.
So let's let this run go, and then the next one we'll get into for sure.
Yep.
This is actually kind of wild to me that people just stream themselves playing Fall Guys. Because I guess if you're like a famous like Twitch streamer, then it'd be one thing. But to just be like some like Joe Blow, just being like, I'm gonna stream. I'm gonna go for it.
This guy has 32 viewers.
Wow. Okay. I guess maybe like the popularity of the game eventually, like you're going to get a decent size anyways. It's probably more people than listen to our podcast, if we're being honest.
It looks like I haven't played, this is season 2. I haven't played Fall Guys in a while, but it looks like you have some sort of like little penguin you have to carry.
Oh.
And I think it's the team that has the penguin with them at the end wins.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. There's teams. So he is Team Red. 3, 2, 1, go. All right. So this is 2 minutes. Wow. I chose a long one. So, oh, he had the penguin, but he dropped it. There is a large crowd. This guy's pretty good at this game. I can already tell. He's got the penguin. No, he doesn't. He's chasing the person with the penguin, but the person who has the penguin is on his team. So great teamwork. Oh my God, this guy knows what the fuck he's doing. Love this teamwork. Jump. Oh no, the yellow team has it now. The penguin is a free for all. Fumble. Everyone is in a corner. No, the penguin is sitting on the ground. Oh, he just went under a little ledge.
Penguin or the guy?
We got 1:14 left. Penguin is running up the blue ramp. Oh my God, this.
Wait, the penguin?
There's multiple penguins.
Wait,
The penguin can run.
So wait, it's just like who has the most penguins at the end?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, actually, his team kind of sucks.
Oh,
he's in last. I was not looking at the score.
Oh, it looks like we're getting towards Soul territory then.
I'm gonna be honest. We are probably gonna be watching Soul. I honestly don't even know what the hell's going on at this point.
Completely off the rails. There's no way.
I mean, the score is yellow team 94,
94,
team 79, and red has 20. So,
wow.
I'm gonna tell you, 25 seconds. It was a fun run. We are going to be watching Soul. It looks like.
I don't even know how that makes sense from a score. There's only 2 minutes.
I don't even know
seconds that they have a penguin.
I don't know how the scoring works on this, and yeah,
it's not looking good for.
He actually stopped playing. He is now chewing something. The streamer.
What?
He gave up on the game. He gave up on the round.
He said, "Guess what, guys? You're watching Soul. Deal with it."
Oh, this guy has no idea. This should be how we choose every time.
This is great. This has been an intense 2 minutes. I'm assuming that they've wrapped here.
It is over.
It is over. Call it. It's done. We will be watching Soul, which is on Disney Plus. So if you have Disney Plus, go out and stream it before next Monday. It just came out on Christmas. So we're like very timely here. I'm kind of proud of us, actually, in a weird way. Oh, and we've lost Tony Frisco, and he is frozen. Well, this is the perfect way to really wrap up this episode and this choice that we've made.